The Rebellion of Thorns. In a land where the sun rarely pierced the thick clouds, there stood a kingdom ruled by a tyrant known as King Varric. His reign was marked by cruelty, his thirst for power unyielding. The people of the land lived in fear, burdened with heavy taxes, endless labor, and cruel punishments for even the smallest infractions. Among them was a woman named Ailira, a warrior once loyal to the king, who had now become the leader of a growing rebellion known as the Thorns. Ailira had once been one of King Varric's elite soldiers. She had fought beside him in countless battles, believing in the righteousness of his rule. But one fateful night, after an invasion from a neighboring kingdom was repelled, Ailira discovered the king's true nature. Varric had ordered the execution of innocent civilians who had dared to question his authority. The kingdom's wealth was built on the bones of the oppressed, and Varric cared for nothing but his own lust for power. Disillusioned, Ailira deserted the royal army and disappeared into the wilderness. There, she found like-minded soulspeople who had lost everything to the king's cruelty. She took on the name Thorn, a symbol of defiance against the monarchy, and vowed to bring down Varric's oppressive regime. The rebellion grew as whispers of Ailira's defiance spread. Soon, farmers, blacksmiths, and former soldiers joined the Thorns. They began striking at the kingdom's supply lines, sabotaging royal caravans, and freeing prisoners held in the king's dungeons. Despite their growing strength, they faced a seemingly insurmountable challenge. King Varric had an army unmatched in strength, and his palace was a fortress of steel and stone. But Ailira was not a woman to be easily discouraged. She studied the palace's defenses, learning every entrance and every weakness. Her people had gathered intelligence, and she had learned of a secret passage zone that could lead directly into the heart of the king's stronghold. It was a dangerous path, guarded by traps and beasts, but Ailira knew this was their only chance. On the eve of battle, Ailira stood at the head of her army, overlooking the campfires of the Thorns. The wind howled, carrying the scent of the coming storm. She spoke to her people with a fire in her heart. Tonight, we fight not for glory, but for freedom. The king's reign ends at dawn. We shall face him with the strength of those he has wronged, the hope of those he has crushed, and the fury of the broken. The Thorns roared in agreement, and the battle began. Ailira and her most trusted warriors entered the palace through the hidden passage, silently making their way through the winding corridors. As they approached the throne room, the air was thick with tension. The king's elite guards stood at attention, unaware of the storm that was about to break. At the throne, King Varric sat, his fingers tapping rhythmically against the armrest, a smug grin on his face. He had expected